I'm not out of high school, so I don't know everything, and I don't have the money to outsource that. So I was starting a different business, which was selling computer hardware. I don't have the money for that either. So now I'm selling phone cases because very good, they're very good. I can get a lot of them and people like them.
And people always need them. So this is the Ask NATO channel. Welcome to another day of Ask NATO. And today we are with GT, who is starting his own business. He's a young entrepreneur, and I was a young entrepreneur once. I started selling things even before the fifth grade, but fifth grade's when I really started doing a whole lot. But he's not even out of high school yet, and he's ready to go. So some of us have hobbies that are a little different from other people. So GT, what exactly are the things that you want to do and build to offer to people?
So my original idea was a academic support system, which was providing online classes for like homeschooling for parents that couldn't really teach their kids different things that schools were requiring. So I set up a website, but then I ran into some problems, which I had to outsource some of my content because I don't really know everything. As he said, I'm not out of high school, so I don't know everything, and I don't have the money to outsource that. So I was starting a different business, which was selling computer hardware. I don't have the money for that either. So now I'm selling phone cases because they're very good. I can get a lot of them and people like them.
And people always need them. So
Yeah, because
new phones.
Apple's always coming out with new phones, and so is Samsung. So yeah, they need phones.
Exactly. And there you have it. So something as simple as that. And so since I am an entrepreneur and an ethical hacker, one of the things that I do is I hack things, including hacking business. So we're going to do a little business hacking on how can someone with limited or no resources just start a business that just starts making money, because you can actually just start a business and just start making money. I've said this to people in the past, and I usually will talk to people one-on-one about this. I get this question so much. And then people do start making money, but I'm like, how about I just start talking about it? How can you hack business to just start making money? Like, if you want to quit your job, great, you can. If you just want to learn business, great, you can. If you want to be like GT and maybe you're his age and ready to go, I have no idea, but let's get into how that works. Let me go ahead, and I was sharing my screen earlier. Let me just share my screen again here. So there are a number of ways to get a product off the ground. And I've been talking with GT about some ways to if you're trying to sell phone cases or trying to find something that's going to make enough money to help fund a business or build a business, of course, as he said, he'd like to do something else, but the problem is at some point you do need money. And I've talked to so many entrepreneurs, and it's interesting talking to GT versus talking to adults. And I've worked with adults and kids and different types of people. And one thing I've noticed that adults do, it drives me insane, is they'll be like, well, I want to do this great big thing. I'm like, oh, great, that sounds awesome. You should totally do that. And then they're like, yeah, but I just don't have the money to do it. It's like, well, then why don't you just earn the money? And they're like, well, my job doesn't pay enough. It's like, well, then why don't you do something that makes more money? And they're like, well, because it's bad times right now. It's like, well, then why don't you go and do something that other people aren't doing so you don't get no, and there's like a million and a half excuses, and it just makes it so difficult that I really don't teach adults entrepreneurship. It's just, in some ways, it's too much work. It drives me insane. So One thing about like when we're younger, we don't do all that. And so GT's ready to go. He's just going to go start making money. So while he's making money, other people can complain about things that they don't know if it works or how it works or why it would work. And well, I'm not going to try that because I don't even, he's just going to do it. And then while he's making money, everyone else can do whatever they're trying to figure out. But the thing that I run into is if you are trying to start a business, there are a lot of ways to make money to fund what you want to do. And then when I recommend to people oftentimes like, well, here's some things you can do to make the money to do what you want to do. They're like, well, but I don't want to do that. It's like, well, do you want to work at the job that you're at right now? And they're like, no. Like, well, would you rather sell phone cases? No. It's like, well, if you sell phone cases, you can work 3 days a week and make more money selling phone cases 3 days a week after you've gotten things growing and doing the stuff, versus working a 9 to 5 and working way more doing what you hate. So if you hate selling phone cases, it's still less work than working 40 hours a week. Just saying. Anyways, you spend, after you get the shop up and running, it takes about 2 hours a week to maintain an online store. So e-commerce. So let me show you GT. We talked about Shopify. If you set up Shopify, Shopify has a lot of plugins and a lot of things that let you start a business, sell products, even if you have no inventory, no money, and do things that will allow you to transition into a bigger business. Now, I'm going to teach GT how to basically have a business that leverages things like dropshipping, but I'm not going to call this a dropshipping video because I'm teaching e-commerce here. I'm teaching GT how to do e-commerce. And drop shipping, there's this weird craze on YouTube and the internet where people think drop shipping is this Shopify Oberlo combo. Drop shipping's been around since like the 1920s. I'm sure it's probably been around for longer than that. Honestly, all drop shipping is instead of you having inventory and shipping your inventory to people when they pay, when people pay, you go to a vendor and say, hey, vendor, someone paid me this money. Let me pay you my wholesale price right now, and you ship it to the to my customer. You ship my stuff to the customer. It doesn't have to be done with Shopify. It doesn't have to be done with Oberlo. It doesn't have to be done with AliExpress. But I will tell you right now that there's the craze of Shopify drop shipping started because Shopify made it really easy to drop ship. And while it's most certainly not a get-rich-quick opportunity, it's a great way when you have limited resources, no resources, or something along those lines to do the long, boring, arduous process of launching a business, which takes about 3 years for most businesses to start turning reasonable profit. That even applied to my business. I was like, no, I'm going to make money much sooner than that. And then the 3-year thing hit. I'm like, okay, it's true. It takes about 3 years. But with that in mind, some people get lucky and make money sooner. So Oberlo, if you get Shopify, GT has a Shopify store. If you get Shopify, you can get plugins. There are all kinds of plugins. But this tool called Oberlo is an easy way to set something up where you have vendors that you talk to and work with and get vendors that you build relationships with. And then once you have those relationships, you can use this tool called Oberlo to automate the transactions between your customers buying something from you and your vendor sending the product out to you. And so if you have Shopify, Shopify has this little app selection option. I'm not going to show you my store because I don't know what sensitive information is going to pop up. But you go to Shopify, it has an app section. You go in the app section, you look for Oberlo. As a matter of fact, maybe I just say Shopify apps. If we pull up Shopify apps, there's so many Shopify apps, it's obnoxious. Let's see.
Isn't that why Shopify is so expensive? Because, well, it's not that expensive, but there's so many add-ons that you can actually get to increase how good it is. So
100%, yep. So true. So true. And Oberlo here, it's just one of many plans. And they have a free plan that's great for just starting a business, getting a business off the ground. You can start to build an e-commerce presence. And drop shipping, there are positives and downsides. The downside of drop shipping is you don't have control over your shipping process. But when you don't have money, that's fine. You focus on the people, talk to people, be honest with people, and be like, hey, my shipping takes up to 6 weeks. Okay, great. Who cares? As long as people know that it takes up to 6 weeks for shipping, you can find vendors where it takes 5 days for shipping. You can find vendors who it takes 1 day for shipping. And we're going to talk about how you do that. But the problem with drop shipping is you put the control of the shipment in the control of the vendor, and you lose that control. And so it's something that's great for starting a business, but long term, getting your own warehousing then gives you control. Where like you start getting some money, get some warehousing, and then start building your own inventory, and then you can start doing 1 day shipping, 2 day shipping very easily. But you got to start somewhere. You can't just magically have 2 day shipping. That costs. For those who don't know business, Amazon is a big business. They can afford 1 to 2 day shipping. They can do that. For a new business or a business that never existed, shipping is one of the most painfully expensive things on the planet. And getting a product to you is, even if you do your own warehousing, that means that someone either has to afford the warehousing, they have to put in a lot of time making sure that they get those items to you, or they have to go work with the event. It's a complicated thing. So Oberlo helps make it easier for the entrepreneur. And what Oberlo does, this is one of many ways, we're going to talk about different ways to get things that you can sell. So if you have a Shopify store and you want to make money to fund your dream, fund your big thing, or fund the product you wish you could build, well, to fund the product you wish you could build, there are ways you could either go to a website called Printify, where you can custom design something like phone cases, where GT can create his own phone cases on something called Printify. This wouldn't work with Oberlo. I'll talk about Oberlo. But like if I go over back to, let's see, I had done that. So here we go. And let's say that I say, Printify. So Oberlo, Printify. Notice there's this Printify and Printful option. These are other drop shipping things, but these are actually print on demand, which is slightly different from drop shipping. So Oberlo accommodates the drop shipping process, having a vendor send something, and print on demand is almost like drop shipping, and you still have a vendor ship an item to your customers, but print on demand means that you create your own design, have someone else print it on your design. And the benefit of both print on demand and drop shipping is that you don't have to pay until the customer pays. So a customer pays you maybe $30 for a custom phone case you made. And then you come over here and you pay Printify, their $15 is the wholesale price. We've all heard of wholesale before. We've heard of wholesale prices. This is what wholesale is. Wholesale pricing is just that an entrepreneur or a business has to pay something to be able to give you a product they made. So in order for GT to produce a product, it's going to cost $15, $14.79. But that's not a problem, because then GT can set a margin and maybe charge $30. And while some people say, oh, who pays $30 for a phone case? This phone case cost me $80. I'm just saying, just so everyone here knows. Who pays $30 for a phone case? I most certainly don't. I pay closer to $80 for a phone case. So if you think no one's going to pay $30 for a phone case, you're out of your mind. And so at the end of the day, custom, one-of-a-kind, this isn't even a one-of-a-kind phone case. I'm not even using a one-of-a-kind phone case. But GT here can produce a one-of-a-kind phone case for $30 and sell it. Or even for $40. Honestly, it makes more sense to sell it for $40 or $50. I almost don't know why you would sell it for $30. That's kind of lowballing a little bit. But for testing prices, that's pretty good. If you, $30 is a good test price to try out a new phone case that you just designed, seeing what people think. And then when you're ready to start selling things, you put the price more appropriately. Now, that goes back to ways to sell things on Shopify. Shopify is this website designing website. You design a website that lets you sell things. That's what Shopify is all about. And it has different ways to let you sell things, even if you have no money outside of it. Costs about $30 a month for Shopify. But as long as you pay that $30 a month, you get access to this ocean of free things. What if you quite literally wanted to build courses? Online courses. You just say online courses. Wonderful. Let's see if you wanted to build an online class. Oh my goodness, look at this. So we have We have all kinds of things for letting you build online courses. This one says 7-day free trial, but what if you wanted something that's not a trial that you can just kind of use and sell courses while you're trying to get money to be able to use something that's a paid thing? This has a free plan available for Thinkific. This courses thing for courses has a free plan available. Same with a lot of them. You can even click on free right here and try to figure out like what would allow me to just pay the $30 a month on Shopify, and then at no cost to me start selling now, like as fast as you can build, as fast as you can produce your whatever you're trying to create. You find the applications that allow you to do what you want to do, that let you sell what you want to sell, and please don't spend a whole lot of money in the beginning. You just get that service and then just do everything free. Start free and then start paying for things when you start making money. It's the best way to keep it simple. But then the other question that we get is, how do you find quality products? So one of the reasons we're recording this is so that GT can go back and watch this as well. Let's say that you want to drop ship, and I was talking about Oberlo first. This tool called Oberlo that has a free plan. Maybe you want to know how to start drop shipping. This will walk you through how to start drop shipping, and then once you start drop shipping, if you start drop shipping, you let's see, if I just go to Oberlo.com. I don't need to teach you how to use Oberlo, because if you go to Oberlo.com and you go to resources here, they have this Oberlo Help Center. I'm not going to make a video on how to use Oberlo because they have so much content here. It's just a waste of my time. But for those viewing who want to know, I'd work with GT on it as a one-on-one thing. But in terms of the YouTube channel, making YouTube content on the one-on-one steps, I'm just doing the same thing that they already do, even better than I could do, because it's their solution, their product, how to get started, how to sign up for Oberlo, how to connect the Oberlo account to a Shopify store. How drop shipping with Oberlo works. So let's just take a quick look, and there's videos here, videos on how drop shipping works with Oberlo, how to configure shop settings, how to set up auto updates. And notice it has Shopify symbol on here, Shopify Help Center. Oberlo is partnered with Shopify. So these are also from Shopify and show the configurations for working with Shopify. And right here, we even have a screenshot where it shows like the settings and all that good stuff. So this is something that anyone can use to get off the ground. Now, you can build a long-term sustainable business with dropshipping, sure. But generally speaking, most dropshippers I've met who are successful, who do something with this, don't focus on making a dropshipping business. They focus on making a brand, and they supplement their brand with dropshipping. So dropshipping as a supplement is sustainable long-term. So, but GT here is trying to use selling phone cases for the purpose of funding a brand, which opens two opportunities where you're building brand already, but then you can use drop shipping to start to get the money to let you build that brand and build that presence and build that identity over time. So let's say that you wanted to sell phone cases, is what you said. So how do you find products that will sell? Because that's a tricky thing. So this is AliExpress.com. Oberlo works with AliExpress.com. Believe it or not, Oberlo works with more than AliExpress.com. They even have their own vendors. And AliExpress.com is one of, there's different sites. Etsy lets you drop ship, but for the most part, you got to be careful drop shipping from Etsy, because the person selling has to be okay with you drop shipping their product. So you can drop ship from Etsy if you find a person who agrees to that sort of a thing. One thing I recommend doing is not just selling whatever you want on AliExpress. I think it's just a bad idea. I think the fact that AliExpress is just like item overload makes trying to build a business off of it very challenging if you don't know how to make it not so challenging. Because if you try to sell phone cases, you're selling a commodity, and commodities don't sell well. But if I type phone cases, commodities generally, you want to build a brand. And so I'll tell you the difference between a commodity and a brand. A commodity is something that people need or use or want regularly, but the only thing that's really compelling is like price. That it creates a commodity market. It's what you call like a race to the bottom. And what I mean by a race to the bottom is like generally whoever has the best sales or the best discounts or the best price, that sort of a thing wins. But Amazon has better prices, and people who know of AliExpress, they can get the wholesale price that you use anyways and the same shipping. And so trying to sell things as commodities is complicated, but then that comes in the value of brand. Brand is giving people a reason why they would buy from you. Why would they buy a phone case from you and not just go to Best Buy? Well, the reason, GT, why they would buy from you is because they want to support you. They really like what you're doing. They like what you're working toward. You talk about that. And you say, I really need your support in buying phone cases specifically for me. Because if you buy phone cases specifically for me, it allows me to run my business so I can give you what you really want beyond just phone cases. And I'll take you on a journey. I'll entertain you. I'll show you. I'll create cool content. I'll teach you lessons. I'll take you on a wild ride if you keep buying phone cases from me to allow me to afford doing that. And then that's what people really pay for, is they pay for the ride that you take them on. People pay for the journey, and that's brand. And so anyone can sell a phone case. Great. Now, if I just type phone cases, we get just pure chaos. One thing I don't recommend doing is just selling things based on how cool the picture is. The problem with that is that whatever you like selling, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what most people, or whatever you like buying is not necessarily what everyone else likes buying. And I say that from, I am a personality archetype that if we talk about GT, do you know what a bell curve is?
No.
Okay, I'll give you a limited high level of like what a bell curve is and why trying to buy or why trying to sell what you like can sometimes actually cause you to just not get any sales or not make any money, and it can be really complicated. So a bell curve is something in math, basically statistics. Let's see. So in statistics, we have, draw like a little graph. If we have a graph and we have an X and a Y axis, so if this is our X axis and this is our Y axis, and we're trying to say that we want to make a graph, let's say that in our bell curve, we have so if we say that the x-axis is kind of gauging people who have similar interests. Actually, I should say similar interests instead of similar likes. It's gonna be kind of a bad graph, but it'll get the point across. So we'll say similar interests, and then which maybe a better way to put this is like bandwagon followers. Do you know what a bandwagon is? Have you heard of the bandwagon effect, or what a bandwagon effect is?
Isn't that where people like what you like, so they'll follow you?
Yes. That's exactly what it is. So there's something called the bandwagon effect. And for whatever reason, just the vast majority of humans alive, just how we are, if we see other people doing something, then for the most part, we want to do what everyone else is doing. So let's say, actually, we'll say on the left side, we have people who are bandwagon followers on the left, and then we'll say on the right, we have so I guess this is going to be more of a spectrum. This is going to be kind of a confusing graph, but hopefully it'll get the point across. It's not going to be very statistically accurate or sound, but the point will be what matters. So A bell curve works like this. So a bell curve is most people are kind of average. Most people will follow trends, but they kind of have their own interests and they won't just be, they'll follow bandwagons and they like bandwagons. But then they're not the people who are just like completely resistant to following bandwagons, like the wave effect or whatever. So if we build this thing, this applies to sales. Most entrepreneurs, by far, and I'm an entrepreneur, and if you're doing this, you're probably psychologically like other entrepreneurs, which means that you fall under the category most likely of being a non-bandwagon follower. And the interesting thing about that is if you're trying to find something that's worth selling, whatever a non-bandwagon follower likes, you're going to see something and be like, oh yeah, I've never seen that before and I really like it. It looks really unique. No one else has this thing. I want it. It has no reviews. It's not vetted. No one knows what this thing is. That's awesome. I'm going to find out the secrets behind it, right? That's over here. That's me. I'm like that. I'm like, oh, no one's ever done this before. No one's ever heard of this before. I want to do the things that no one else is doing. I don't want to do whatever anyone else is. So someone else is doing that. It's terrible. I'll never do that thing because other people like it. And I struggle. Yeah. Do you struggle with that too? Or is that, I know I do.
I most definitely do. Because you want to like stand out. You don't want to be in the group because then you're not unique. Nobody will try to buy from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's no reason to buy from you. They'll just get the one that's closest, or shouldn't say closest to them, but like the one that's easiest to get, or the ones that they first find and they like.
Yeah, and another word that we can use for this is, I'm gonna add another word on here, and this will be a good word for you to know, is we have non-neophytes. And then what that would mean is that you are what's called a neophyte. Edit. And what a neophyte is it's a person who generally likes different or things that no one's ever heard of or unique or that sort of like, oh, what is it? Oh, I want to try the new thing. Whatever. They always got the newest iPhone or they're always looking at the newest technology. I'm a neophyte. If I see a new technology I've never heard of before, I could care less about what existed in the past. It's probably why I got into R&D. People are like, it's one of the things that impacts my opinions on certifications. I think certifications are great. I think they're amazing. I think people should get certifications for the things that they need. But for me, I'm like, oh, but that implies that someone has done that before. Someone's completed that certification, which means it's not new to the world. Therefore, it's like, that's not new. Why would I do that? Which it's a weird. It's a quirk that's damaging to sales, and it's really damaging to entrepreneurs because almost the vast majority of entrepreneurs fail because almost all entrepreneurs are neophytes, real ones, the vast majority of them. And the ones who succeed are the ones who realize that they have to sell to people who are kind of in the middle. They have to sell to people who are not necessarily non-neophytes, but they're not. They kind of like to follow the bandwagon. They like to follow what everyone else is doing. And then what we call here is this bell curve says that just most people are in the middle.
Sure.
And what that does also mean is that most people like the same thing that everyone else likes in most areas. And then we have some extremes where there's some people who are so resistant to change that if something changes, like they'll follow like whatever the crowd's following for sure. You're like, oh, well, this is what, like they'll almost only do things if everyone else is doing it. They won't do anything if like the ocean's not doing it too. And these people are so hard to convince, it's not even worth trying to sell to them. So you can't build a business for these people. And you'll talk to these people who are like, oh, $40 for a phone case, or oh, $15 for a phone case. Like, you'll get those people and they'll all freak out and they'll talk about what you're doing is the worst thing on the planet because it's, like, well, you should be this age to run a business, or you should look like this to run a business, or you should have this experience to run a business.
Or they'll think that you're scamming them because you're different.
Absolutely. They'll be like, oh, this must be a scam. That I've never seen this before. It must be a scam. And but most people are kind of in between. So the way to find things that most people will buy, when you have all this stuff to figure out, it's crazy. It's so hard to figure out what people will buy. But there's an easy way to do that. There are two tools, which is why I do recommend for beginners and people trying to get started, people who aren't used to selling online, using dropshipping as a learning tool, but also a tool to make money to fund what you really want to do. Because you can go over it to AliExpress, and the important part is clicking on orders right here. And when you search for something, you can see what are the things that most people are buying. And the things, and I've run into this time and time again, that almost without fail, the items on AliExpress that have like at least 2,000 sold, there's two things this means. It means that the seller can handle selling volume. So they can handle selling 100 in a day. And they're not going to come back to you and be like, oh, sorry, you got too many sales. We're sold out of inventory. So seeing these high numbers, 56,046 sold. This means that this vendor right here, whoever, Yishengao shop store, Chinese or not, there are American vendors, there are Russian vendors, there are UK vendors, there are Chinese vendors. There's all kinds of vendors on AliExpress. But this right here, I know that this one, and then this one says a good looking phone case store. They sold 43,000 cases. Pretty much anything at the top here. I've never had something that had over 20,000 items sold on AliExpress. And then when I went to go try to sell it, it sold. Like, they sell. Like, the things, like, it just sells. This is just a way to make money. And then even if you don't like them, maybe find like something in the top, at least 2,000 sold. The higher, the more likely to sell. And then, with brand and consistently selling things, you slowly open people up to buying different things. But for whatever reason, those numbers, there's a reason why those numbers are so high. It's because people see what they like and then they buy what the humans are so visual. Humans are so visual. The one warning I would say is avoid selling something that doesn't have, very important here where it says sold, avoid selling things that are less than 200 sold. There are a number of reasons why. It could mean that vendor's not used to selling volume. It could mean that they are new and unvetted. And when you've been doing things for a while, it's not a big deal. When you've been doing things for a while, you kind of have an idea through the experience of how to find good vendors. And you can kind of look at something that has like 2 sold, and then you know how to talk to the vendor and make sure that vendor is reliable, or that their product's reliable. But you want to look for evidence that you're going to be able to provide something good to your customers, and these numbers give you evidence that you're going to provide something that people are generally happy with. The other part that's important, so let me click on this and show you the next thing that you want to vet out. And I'd say this on everything, anytime you're trying to do it, there's a reason why we're recording this. Anytime you want to sell an item that you like, this is a little bit of cybersecurity right here, because you don't want to get scammed. You can get scammed on AliExpress. Cybersecurity 101, dropshipping with some cybersecurity information. And I am a cybersecurity channel, so it's not me to not talk about those things. The positive feedback, if you get scammed, your customer gets scammed. So if you're trying to sell a product to someone and you're getting scammed by the person trying to sell, then this person walks away, robs you blind. And now AliExpress has securities against that. So if you get scammed and you're doing it through AliExpress, you can get your money back because of AliExpress. This is one of the benefits of doing with AliExpress. It keeps it lower risk, where if you get scammed, it's not the end of the world. You can go to AliExpress directly and be like, hey, like I was supposed to sell these things. My customers haven't gotten their shipments. Like the vendor's not talking. I don't know what's going on. So from a cybersecurity standpoint, you can talk to AliExpress. It's not the end of the world if you get scammed. I would say as long as a company has at least 90% or higher positive feedback, and they've been around for at least a year. Let's see, there's a thing that shows how long vendors have been around. Here we go. The store has been open since April 15th of 2018. This is really important. And that means that they have been doing it for a while and they have a 96% feedback. This store probably is reliable. You could look at that alone and just not much to worry about. It's really when you see a company that has been around for less than a year and their feedback is less than, especially less than 80%. But if it's under 90%, I would start to scratch my head a little bit and think about it unless they've been around for a while. And then the next thing to do once you find something that you like and you think you want to sell it, if you have the money, order a sample for yourself and see what you think of it. If you don't have the money and you're trying to generate the capital so that you can start building inventory, because ultimately you want to build inventory of the things people buy regularly. But in the beginning, just drop ship everything. Just drop ship the things because you have to have money to make money. And you have to have money to have good shipping. But then when you come over here and it says free shipping, when you're drop shipping, you really want to make sure that there's a very specific type of shipping that you generally want to use. And if they don't have it, then I would say this product, just move on from it. This one does not have what I'm looking for. Sometimes the AliExpress standard shipping is okay, but there's another form of EMS shipping that you want to look for, and I'll show you what that is. This company doesn't have it, so let me say that because the shipping option I'm looking for isn't there, I'm going to move on from this, say this is not something you want to sell. So let me close this and go over, and there is, let's see if they still have the checkbox for, there's something called EPacket Shipping that might be going away soon because of certain things. And I hope EPacket Shipping's still around because that's what I even used about a month ago even. But there should be something called EPacket Shipping. And if there's not, I'll show you what the alternatives are that are fine. You know what? Let me just go to a vendor that I think has EPacket Shipping. So this is a vendor that a lot of companies use, UGREEN. If you've ordered electronics for companies, you'll notice that oftentimes they supplement their products with UGREEN. And UGREEN, they have good quality products. They sell all kinds of electronics. They're very reliable. UGREEN's just a convenient company, or at least they have a UGREEN official store here. Notice that there are other stores. Let me go back. Let me show you some other things to pay attention to. There's a way to isolate top brands. I don't see it here. That's not a big deal. So when you look at the thing, notice this says shop and it has a number and then store, but then this one says UGREEN official store. Pay attention to that, because if you're trying to like sell UGREEN items, some of these are reliable, but then if you can do something with an official store, that makes more sense and usually is more reliable. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes some of these like side party people, if you vet out the vendor, are even better. But notice when I clicked on UGREEN, it says top brand. So when you're looking at vendors, top brand is also a sign that it's a very reliable vendor and they have a history of being reliable. So if you're doing drop shipping, this little badge right here that says top brand, when you go and you click on the vendor, I know this is a lot of information. Once again, this is why I'm recording it. Where it says top brand, that's very important. This is vetting stuff out. This is all, at the end of the day, this is like drop shipping, cybersecurity 101. So you want to look at things like top brand. And then notice again, it's been around since 2010. Very important. Very important. And then scrolling through here, let me just click on any old thing. doesn't really matter which one. Okay, so let me just notice they have shipping from Spain, Russia, France is sold out, China. I chose China. Let's see if, interesting. So EPacket might be, so there's been a lot going on with the Federal Trade Commission and the Department of Transportation, and because of China stuff and government politics and foreign power things of the world and the pandemic, all those fun things. The shipping that I would just recommend using if you're just trying to get started, honestly, if you have to start on the AliExpress standard shipping, that can be okay. But sometimes if you look at, like, say, Spain, cannot deliver to United States, cannot deliver to the United States. Some of that right now is because of the pandemic. Let me see if I can find. Let's find another company that might have EPacket shipping. If EPacket shipping exists, it's by far and beyond the best option that you can choose. But notice when you're going through items, look at the shipping options. Look at the shipping options and look at the estimated delivery. Some of them use FedEx. Some of them don't use FedEx. They'll use DHL. UPS. It really just depends on the vendor, and you really just need to go from vendor to vendor to vendor and find a vendor that provides shipping that works for what you're trying to do. So phone cases, there's so many companies that sell phone cases that it's a little work. It's a little work, it is. And let me see if I'll click on another one and see if maybe we see EPacket, and then I'll move on and just know that if you ever see one that says EPacket, which is what I'm looking for, that's a really good option if it so happens to exist. If it doesn't exist, then the other thing that I recommend doing after you find what you want to sell, see if their shipping is reasonable. The estimated shipping times are generally somewhat accurate, and items usually arrive faster than whatever the estimated time is. So this will probably arrive maybe before the 15th, but it might arrive on the 15th. It usually takes about 2 weeks, I've noticed, but it can take the whole time. I have had things during the pandemic take 2 months, depending on what I'm shipping out to people. If I'm drop shipping, I don't drop ship so much anymore because the business has gotten to where I don't need to rely on drop shipping like I used to have to. But when you don't have a choice, you don't have a choice. So let's see. The next thing to look at is to contact the vendor. So I'd say once you find a product you like, go to contact the vendor, and I'm even fine just showing you, well, I'll just, yeah, if I were to just say, hi, I have been looking for phone case vendors. Would you be willing to work with my business and build a working relationship. So I would say if a vendor doesn't get back to you, and while I'm probably wasting these people time because they're going to look at it and think that I'm serious, and I don't know, I probably shouldn't have done that. But either way, this is exactly what you do. You just come up here and you can literally just send this exact message like, hi, I've been looking for phone case vendors. Would you be willing to work with my business and build a working relationship? That's the next thing that I would do. And then while you're waiting on their response, then you can start to test the individual products. So when you create a brand new, when you build a brand new Shopify store, they don't have this drop shipping center. You actually have to do something to add this, and you have to apply to it. But if you go to AliExpress and go to your settings, you can do things to make this drop shipping center appear. This drop shipping center is your best friend once you find a vendor. And choose no more than 3 vendors when you're getting started. It'll make your life not chaos. Otherwise, dealing with too many vendors is madness. It's quite literally madness. It'll make you go insane. Make me go insane. But let's say that we wanted to know, what have the sales for this product looked like? Has it been doing all right? Have people been complaining beyond the reviews? The reviews look all right. It's got 29 orders, so it's kind of a risky item. So this item is not something on sale. 29 orders, kind of a head scratcher. Well, what if we wanted to see like, okay, so has it at least been selling recently? Like, has there been any activity on it? You can come over to this drop shipping center that I was showing you. You go to that tab, you say find, let's see, it has like this product analysis. It should just let me paste the URL in here, and it does. And then you can analyze the sales of the product. And while this product only has 29 sales or something along those, oh wow. Apparently it's sold more than that. Well, the dropshipping center tells you, have the shipments been arriving on time? Have there been any negative reports? All of that will impact this little rating right here. And then also it'll show you like, what have the sales look like? Even though this shows 29 orders, sometimes this isn't completely accurate, and the drop shipping center lets you know really what it looks like. About 50 were sold on this day, on the 7th of July. And on the 9th of July, about another 50 were sold. So someone must have been running a campaign of some sort to test. So I'll tell you right now, like if someone was probably testing this product to see how it sells. Because if it's new and it's been unvetted, when you see a massive spike and like a magical 50, someone ran something like Facebook ads to make this happen. So someone ran a Facebook ad campaign and was like, oh, sweet, this sales. Then they went and did it again to double check. Oh, great, this sells. And then now it looks like they're just selling. So someone has found an unvetted item, and this is probably an experienced entrepreneur who did this. Some experienced entrepreneur out there has been working with this vendor at David's Shinsu Yawai Ltd store and started testing. It could even be from the vendor themselves. It could be the vendor themselves doing these tests, but that's usually not the case on AliExpress. On AliExpress, that's almost never the case. And so the dropshipping center is showing you, it's like the final test, like, okay, check this before you push the item out to sell. That's if you're dropshipping. Now, alternatively, print on demand, I talked about that. Print on demand usually has better shipping options almost always, but significantly more limited options, drastically more limited options. And then you kind of have to design the item yourself. And AliExpress has items where you can already see, like, are people already buying this? Are people already interested in this? What do people think of this already? AliExpress has all the information for you to just take things that are already selling and sell stuff that's already selling. And while you're building your brand, use your brand to drive the sales so that what you're selling is not a commodity. And then there's also another one called Printful. And it's just another one where the difference between drop shipping and, say, Printful and Printify is this is a print on demand, where you still have a vendor send the item for you, but they print onto the item, like a shirt or something along those lines. So, you put your design here as it shows, and then they ship it to your customer. And so services products, so Printify and Printful have different but similar products. So let's say someone wants to buy a t-shirt, or you want to sell a t-shirt, you can make custom t-shirts here. It doesn't even have to be a t-shirt. Let me show you. It could be jackets, could be stickers. I'm pretty sure you can do stickers on this too. I don't even know. There's so many things. You sell pants. Oh goodness. And then we have embroidered shirts. We have all kinds of stuff. And so then if you wanted to go and sell this shirt, you can choose the color that you like, and then you can start designing as it says right here. And then Shopify has plugins to automate the sale where then when someone comes over to your store, and like I said, so I supplement things on my store. So not everything I sell is drop shipped. But if I go to my store, when there's something I just don't have, right now my gear shop, I don't want to stock. Oh, did I take that out? Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. I don't really have screwdrivers to sell. If people want to buy screwdrivers to do this stuff, like they kind of need a screwdriver for the things that I need. And it's like, I'm not going to order and stock inventory for screwdrivers. It really doesn't make much logical sense when people could just go buy it on Amazon or something like that, that is a commodity. But if I want to then say, well, I sell this course and I sell these Raspberry Pi bundles. You know, I sell these two things, and I want to be able to give people all the stuff that they need, so then they can add the drop shipped screwdriver, right? And then that means that you can fill in your store with other things that benefit your customer to just make your store better for your customer. And so, like, while this is not drop shipped and this is my item, like, I can drop ship a screwdriver. While I'm not drop shipping a whole lot, I'll tell you right now, it's a great service. It's a great thing to add. It's a great tack on to your business. And in an e-commerce business, it lets you just kind of like up your game. And if you're a new business, it's a great way to just get off the ground. Because it took me 3 years to build the Pied Hacker experience. But it takes no time. Well, okay. It takes 3 hours to find a vendor for a screwdriver versus 3 years to have a product. So that's what I have to say about that. And so hopefully that's helpful for everyone wanting to learn about how can you hack business a little bit, hack e-commerce using print on demand. Actually, as a matter of fact, it makes so much sense to use print on demand that even we use print on demand. It just makes too much sense. So many, like, YouTube channels do this, other businesses do. If you're buying a hoodie from a company, this is probably how they're doing it. There are chances that they have their own stuff, but so many companies, especially like YouTube businesses, people who don't have development firepower, like, the only time I have is to engineer. I don't have time to do engineering and make clothes. I don't have that time. So even for someone like me, I still use all this. It's like a no-brainer add-on to just boost your business and let you do some stuff. So anyways, GT, now you know some secrets. Do you have any questions about that I can show you while I have you here? Any questions about what would help your business grow?
I don't think I have any. You really went over most of the stuff in detail, so
Cool.
I think that you covered everything.
So great. And then in that case, it'll be on YouTube when I get it online, and you'll be able to go back and watch this over again, and other people will be able to watch this. And I know it's going to work fine for you because you don't have all these pre-existing work experiences, you know, for what work or business should be like.
Yeah.
You're just going to go do it. So yeah, literally just go start making some content, tell people what you're doing, and people will just start buying stuff from you. It is pretty cool. And there's some ways to, once you start getting a hang of how to do the sales and once you have your shop, I can teach you all the tricks. Maybe we'll make more videos on like how do you start getting the sales? How do you get people into the shop? Like, how do you do that? So we'll go ahead and we'll start with this, and other people can see what you're working on, see what you're about. Hopefully this will get you a little extra attention too, to start getting some sales. Okay. Yeah, and cell phones are how I started making money, just so everyone knows. Cell phones cases were one of the first things that helped fund Notia Point. So it was GT's idea to sell phone cases. I didn't even tell him that. I don't even know if you knew that before you came up with the idea.
Didn't, to be honest. Neither did Nadine.
Yeah, it's honestly, I guess it's something I never really talked about much. Because I wanted backpacks to be what made my money, but it wasn't. It was people bought cell phone cases. I was almost salty about it. I was like, oh, what? I was like, I have all this cool stuff, and people only want to buy cell phone cases. So I think it's great. So, anyways,
well, I mean, at least I know that people want it. So
it's true. It's so fun. People are so strange. Like, people surprise and confuse me all the time. So. Anyways, well, thank you for your time, and I'll go ahead and stop the recording now. But any last thoughts?
No, not really. Subscribe to his YouTube channel.
Thank you. Sounds great. Thanks. And yeah, and give a like if you like this.
Well, I guess I'll go work on my website.
Sounds good. Good luck. I'll stop the recording, and we'll be in touch.
Okay.